All right. You get 3 days off, get some time with family for Thanksgiving, and you got plenty of opportunity to game plan and put together a really nice plan and a really nice effort against the San Antonio Spurs to advance to the NBA Cup. Surely you're going to do it. Right? Right? Right?
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode on a Friday night, now turned Saturday morning as it just crossed midnight here as the Denver Nuggets lose to the San Antonio Spurs. Final score 139-136, a high-scoring effort for both teams and one a lot more disappointing than the other. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Ryan Blackburn, host here at Locked On Nuggets. Going solo tonight, Matt Moore has the night off. He will be with you tomorrow night to cover the Nuggets game against the Phoenix Suns. So make sure to check in for his show on that and much better analysis than what I'm probably about to give. But very excited to get to lay into Denver a little bit for this one, because this is let's call it what it is. I mean, kind of an unacceptable performance, straight up. This is an unacceptable performance for the Denver Nuggets coming off of 3 days of rest. You have lost multiple games in a row at home up until this point. You are facing the San Antonio Spurs without Victor Wembanyama and Steph Vassell. You are while you have multiple injuries yourself, you have plenty of time to game plan for that, plenty of time to adjust. And what do? You give up 139. It's just straight up unacceptable level of defense if you are a Denver Nuggets fan and you're wanting the team to show a little bit of backbone in these situations, a little bit of care, a little bit of chutzpah. Now, they care. I want to make that clear. The players were despondent tonight. They were very frustrated at the way that this game went. Jamal Murray was frustrated. Cam Johnson was frustrated. Locker room was frustrated. It's how it goes. And yes, sometimes this is the way games go, where the ball doesn't bounce your way. The other team catches a heater. The Spurs were not shooting well at halftime, and then they really caught going. They went 13 of 13 from the free throw line in the third quarter, and then somehow also went 7 of 8 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. They picked up a lot of points at the free throw line, a lot of points from behind the arc. And then Denver on top of it couldn't really force them to turn the ball over. Frankly, Denver did absolutely nothing tonight to prevent the Spurs from scoring. It was an absolute cakewalk for them to score. And that's unacceptable. That's an unacceptable effort and execution from the Nuggets. Now, that is the important distinction. I do think there was effort being played tonight. And I want to make it clear, I don't know who's fully at fault. Straight up, you can go back and look. There's a variety of people that I think you can point to. There's a variety of actions that you can point to. Maybe this is a coaching thing. Maybe this is a Jokic thing. I kind of default to it being a coaching thing because of the Jokic thing, because this is a team that Jokic is going to struggle with on a consistent basis because they have speedy, athletic, quick and dynamic guards, and they have forwards that can really space. Those guys are good. Harrison Barnes is good at what he does, and he wasn't even great tonight. 4 of 11, 1 of 6 from 3. Julian Champagne's raining hellfire. He got to the free throw line 10 times, made all 10 for 25 points. Devin Vassell, just an absolute monster in this game. 35 points, 12 of 17 from the field, 7 of 9 from 3. He was ridiculously good. And then off the bench, they got contributions like Carter Bryant hit a 3. He came in for 6 minutes, hit a 3 over Jokic. Lindy Waters hit his only 3. Kelly Olynyk hit a big 3. everybody got in on the action. The Spurs are a team that has shooting all over the court. And as a result, the Nuggets defense, which had been giving up a lot of threes, this was a concern that we've been talking about in this program a lot, that they have so many times where they're just giving up corner threes, and it's partially by design. It is partially like the reason why this is happening is because they are trying to protect the paint. Well, tonight, the Nuggets let's see how many points they allowed in the paint. 48. Denver scored 44, despite having Nikola Jokic. And that's, again, just an unacceptable breakdown. Now, Denver did a really good job on the offensive end overall. This is not a question of the offensive game. We can talk about the clutch time mistakes, and there were plenty of them for sure. But this is a game where you can be very frustrated as a fan, whether it was Jokic not necessarily putting his imprint on the game, like really at all, like 21 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, borderline triple-double game, but 7 of 10 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3, 6 of 8 from the line. He was very comfortable playing the role of facilitator and playing the role of decoy tonight. Whether that was the right call or not, I don't know. They scored 136 points. It's hard for me to really be that critical. But like Jamal Murray, 37. Jamal Murray was fantastic tonight. Cam Johnson had 28. He was fantastic, except for a couple clutch turnovers in a row that we'll talk about in the second segment. Murray had a clutch turnover that was horrible. He missed a floater that was really bad. This was after he took that scary fall. I wonder if that disrupted the timing at least a little bit. And then he travels because he jumps up and tries to pass and then just does the wrong thing. Just a bunch of mistakes and just a bunch of things that you can point to as to why this game happened the way that it did. But Nuggets fans, I'm sure you don't want that many excuses. Denver's been really good on the road, but now the last 3 home games they've lost are to the Chicago Bulls, the Sacramento Kings, and the San Antonio Spurs without Victor Wembanyama. That is an unacceptable pace. And it's something that I think in general, if you're Denver, you can't use the injury excuse in this one. I do think that Aaron Gordon would have helped. I do think that Christian Brown would have helped. Would they have changed the result? Probably. Would Victor Wembanyama have changed the result back? Maybe. I do think that Denver at this point is like they're still learning, and you could be frustrated about this one. Again, keep it in perspective. They were 13-4 before this game, and they are 13-5 now. The sky is not falling. However, we are starting to see signs of the defense regressing. The defense over the course of these past few weeks has been pretty bad. And this is another one of those games where you look at the process, you look at the way that they're guarding, and you can understand it if it's the first 3 quarters. Although, like, giving up 41 in the first and 44 in the third, not really going to help you. Not really going to be the great process you're looking for. And Denver's just giving up a lot of open shots. This is not something where, like, I don't think that they had enough urgency guarding the perimeter tonight. I think that partially, like, this was a scheme thing, trying to figure out how to best rotate while covering around the rim. Partially, this is a Jokic weakness thing where he's played in good defenses before, but like I talked about, this is the ideal defense, or this is the ideal offense to scheme against Jokic. Like, they have threats everywhere. And that is just a lot of pressure to put on Jokic at this point on the defensive end. And it's something that I commented on before the game, and it's something that ultimately manifested. Like, Jokic and Valanciunas were always going to struggle in this one from a defensive standpoint. The Nuggets saved Valanciunas a little bit and his plus-minus by going to zone. They probably should have gone to zone at least a little bit more. But the more you go to zone, the more you give an opportunity to a team to really disrupt and to really, like, just fire away from 3 if they can rotate the ball correctly. Just a lot of aspects that Denver has to work on defensively. Giving up 42 threes, 30 of 32 from the free throw line is the San Antonio. And Denver, once again, only forcing 8 turnovers, 9 team turnovers. But, like, if you force single-digit turnovers as a team, you better be guarding your butt off. You better be disrupting and forcing misses. And that is not what Denver did tonight. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the clutch struggles. We're going to talk about, okay, there's still some good things that happened in this game. Like there were a lot of good players, then a lot of good performances in this game that we can talk about. But we'll go over a variety of things here on Locked On Nuggets. All right. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Pretty easy in hindsight, but this was going to be one of those games that I called the over on. The Spurs couldn't really guard Denver, but the Nuggets couldn't really guard the Spurs. And it's one of those where you have to look at the line. Yeah, it was pretty aggressive at around 238, but that's one where, even live, you can get the sense, yeah, this game's going to be pretty high scoring. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, we are back. Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I know it's a late show. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. It's why we appreciate you guys making us your first listen and being the number one podcast network in sports today. Let's talk about the clutch. Let's talk about what's going on there. It feels like teams are now, especially when they're throwing a small guy on Jokic. And it was Jeremy Sohan for a lot of this game. And even when Luke Cornett was in the game, they were having Luke Cornett not guard Jokic. They were guarding him with a smaller player. It was Keldon Johnson a fair amount of the time, but most of the time it was Jeremy Sohan. And he played 16 minutes, was a +6, despite the fact that he picked up 5 fouls. He was very aggressive. I liked the mentality that he brought to the game for the Spurs. He was very aggressive. And I don't think Denver used that enough. I don't think that Jokic leveraged it enough. And I think so much of this time, Denver's so worried about generating the right shot, generating a great shot. But Jokic didn't necessarily force feed his own opportunities enough in the paint. And just looking at his box score, looking at the way that he's playing, the actual shot chart that he put out there, he had a total of really 6 shots in the paint and then 10 on the other side. Actually, let me uncheck that just to make sure. Yeah, like really 6 shots in the paint. But he was 4 of 4 when he was actually near the rim, maybe 4 of 5. And then I think he tipped in his own miss at one point for an and one. Like, that's not a lot of shots. That's for Jokic. That's nothing. Like, to be able to create those kinds of shots on a consistent basis is what makes the Nuggets special, especially when it gets into clutch time. But the Spurs, they took 2, sometimes 3 guys away and put them on Jokic and said, we need to eliminate this part of their offense and force them to do some other things. And for the vast majority of the time, Denver was great with that. They were perfectly fine. Again, they scored 136. Jamal Murray had 37 points and was absolutely cooking the entire night. 13 of 20, 5 of 8 from 3, 6 of 7 from the line. But again, he missed a clutch free throw as well. Jokic missed 2. Spencer Jones missed 2 early in the game. It's not as big of a deal if the Spurs don't go 30 of 32 for 94% as a team. That definitely hurts. But every opportunity that Denver misses down in the clutch was another opportunity where it felt like the Spurs were going to generate an open shot. And it was Devin Vassell up at the top of the right wing when he hits 2 threes in a row, one from the slot, one from the wing, where he's basically a rotational option where if the Nuggets are going to rotate into the paint, then he's going to get an open three as the single side on the weak side of the defensive scheme. And he got that consistently at the end, made those shots. And like, sometimes you just got to tip your cap to a guy. I know Nuggets fans don't want to do that, but like 35 points on 17 shots and only 4 free throw attempts is crazy. That was a crazy night. And on the other end, Denver just didn't make enough plays to match that. Like, you have Peyton Watson go 1 of 5 after he from 3 after he had done really well for so much of these games as a floor spacer. You had Spencer Jones go 1 of 5 from 3. He had some good moments throughout this game. I thought they used him really well in the third quarter, trying to navigate when Luke Cornett was guarding him. He got Luke Cornett into the action directly, and it caused Denver to have some great moments. Cam Johnson played really well, 28 points. He just continues to get better and better within this offensive scheme. But those 2 turnovers that he had in the middle to late fourth quarter, one of them, he was just trying to feed Jokic the ball and just passes the ball 3 feet to Jokic's like left of his hand. And it wasn't even close as a pass. I have no idea what the miscommunication was between those 2 guys. And then another one, he's trying to go through a DHO with Jokic. And I whether it was Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, someone like that, whoever it was, got their hand in, probably fouled Cam Johnson, but the ball goes off of him and out of bounds. Jokic throws the ball up ahead at some point to Tim Hardaway Jr. Ball goes through his legs. It looked like it got deflected by one of the Spurs defenders, but again, just a sloppy turnover. Denver has 16 turnovers as individual players. They had 17 as a team. Spurs had 8 turnovers individually and 9 as a team. When you lose the turnover margin that badly, and you lose the free throw margin that badly, and you also allow offensive rebounds, like it felt like the Spurs were getting a whole bunch of putback points, it was just a lot. And Denver did not have a good mix that they could really go to. It always felt like if Denver was just able to put together 4 to 5 good defensive possessions in a row in the clutch, then they could make it happen. But when they were able to get a couple of stops, they unfortunately augmented that with some bad offense and maybe a miss here, not getting offensive rebounds. You're making a bad turnover. It felt like it was a little bit of everything. And it's hard to blame anybody individually. I thought that the bench, Jonas Valanciunas had some good minutes. Really, everybody really appreciated the rebounding that he was putting together, the fight that he put together. Tim Hardaway Jr. closed this game and earned the right to close it. 15 points, 4 of 10 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He started off the game 0 of 5, but then made his next 2 shots, forced a timeout by San Antonio, and then Tim was able to close the game after that. It was an opportunity Denver had. Could they go to Spencer Jones? Should they go to Tim Hardaway Jr.? They decided to go with Tim Hardaway Jr. Unfortunately, he never got another 3 to really prove the point of the spacing. And so Denver's process out of whack. Certainly defensively, that made things difficult. But when you cannot get stops and you always feel like in clutch time that you're climbing uphill, when you're always feeling like there is an opportunity that you have to get, that you have to make it happen, it's really tough because you always feel like you're fighting the uphill climb, and any misstep at that point feels like an eternity. It feels like an absolute gut punch, where if you're getting defensive stops on a consistent basis, even if you don't make a basket the next possession, you feel like, okay, could at least get a stop on the next possession. It's not the end of the world. But with Denver, when you can't get a single stop, at least not a real one, that definitely feels like overwhelming to this Nuggets group, I think. JK Walrus says in the comments, Nuggets hand feed the rhythm to opponent shooters when they're needed stops. It's been too late. 100%. Like, they've been closing out too late. It feels like they're getting like wide open shots. The Spurs were, And when you continue to hand those on a silver platter, yeah, they're going to keep making them. I thought that they handed them mostly on a silver platter in the first half. And yeah, Julian Champagne was making some shots. Devin Vassell was making some shots, but nobody else was really making shots for the Spurs in the first half. And then the third quarter happened, and Denver gave them confidence. Rather than putting them away in the third quarter and really taking what was like an 18-point lead at various points, rather than taking that and pushing it away, the Spurs just climbed their way back into the game. Credit to them. They did everything right. They did everything that they should do in this situation. They bombed away from three. They put pressure on Jokic. They forced the ball out of his hands and forced other guys to beat them. And Jamal Murray nearly did. Cam Johnson nearly did. But it wasn't quite enough. And Denver just, once again, like it's a home loss in a situation where you feel like this is completely ridiculous. Okay, let's take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Denver being eliminated from the NBA Cup. I'll give you my preview of what to expect tomorrow as well. Denver's got a back-to-back. How they bounce back from this, we'll see. But tomorrow is another day, and I'm sure that they'll have some thoughts. We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, let's talk about DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. They are the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with DoorDash the very next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate bag. DoorDash has you covered for late night highlights, last minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. All you got to do is take a look at the order, and they're talking like player inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. You could win the ultimate fan bag. All you got to do is when somebody next goes off for 50 points, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, final segment, Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Really appreciate it, as always. Okay, Denver's eliminated from the NBA Cup. The final NBA Cup standings are as follows, as your boy definitely was prepped and is definitely not pulling up the standings as we speak. Okay, in the Eastern Conference, Toronto advanced in Group A, Orlando advanced in Group B, New York advanced in Group C, and in Group C, Miami is the wild card team. They advance from Group C as well. In the Western Conference, OKC shockingly advanced. Phoenix, who Denver will play tomorrow, also advanced as a wild card. They did some good things and won a very important game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. If Minnesota had won that game, they would be advancing, but they did not. In Group B, the LA Lakers advanced. Unsurprisingly, they went 4-0 in their group. It was a very easy group. And in Group C, San Antonio, of course, won this game against Denver. Therefore, they advanced themselves. The thing that people don't fully appreciate with regard to the NBA Cup is at the beginning of every NBA Cup season so far, people have been like, I don't know about it, don't know how to feel about it. Seems weird, pretty tough, like not necessarily something that you're going to go all out for. And then you win a game, and then you lose a game, and then you win a game, and you realize, okay, well, would be really cool to advance. Would be really cool to see the team go to Vegas. I mean, how awesome would it be for Nikola Jokic to win NBA Cup MVP, for the Nuggets to be an NBA Cup champion. You can add that to the legacy. You can, it's a little bit of bragging rights. It's something that matters right up until it doesn't. And when you get eliminated, then every fan base is going to tune out. Every fan base is going to be like, all right, who cares? We're just focusing on the championship anyway. We're focusing on that. That's it. And yeah, like I'm glad that, because today felt like a really good atmosphere. It was a really good game atmosphere for the Nuggets, and the fans were awesome. Like first quarter, everybody was pretty shaky. But second quarter, the fans were unbelievable as the Nuggets come back. Like they had a great quarter, obviously. 41-18 in the second. Denver ultimately went up by about 15 at that point. And the crowd was rocking. Crowd was into it. They were like, yeah, we're ready for the NBA Cup. And then Denver loses this way. And Denver now has to move on. The schedule that will come out, I don't know if it has come out yet, but Denver will play, I believe, don't quote me on this, they'll play 2 random games against one of these 3 teams. Houston, Portland, Golden State. I believe that Denver will get scheduled an extra game against 2 of those 3 teams. And so, well, that's okay if it's Golden State, but Portland, you play them for a 5th time. Houston, I think they only played 3 times on the season initially. So my guess is it'll be Houston, and they'll play Houston for a 4th time. So it is what it is. It's a tough one to have to do. Okay. Royce Flanders says it's Houston and that the schedule is out. So, okay. Oh, it's Houston and Sacramento. All right. It is what it is. Like, I kind of figured that they would play Houston. And part of it is because they, like, heading into this year, they only had, like, I knew they were going to play Houston 3 times this season. I knew they were going to play Sacramento 3 times this season. Now you got to play Sacramento a 4th time. Great. I'm sure the Nuggets will get up for that one. And as for the Houston game, that's just a tough matchup. Like, it'll be very interesting to see whether Denver is going to be good for that. But yeah, Denver could win both of those games. They could win one, lose one. They could lose both of those games. How it affects their regular season schedule, I'm not really sure. But that will be something to monitor going forward. Should Nuggets fans care about the NBA Cup? I don't know. I think it's something that you care about while you're there. I don't think it's something that you care about when your team gets eliminated. And it's like you'll watch the NBA Cup championship, and like sicko fans will probably watch the semifinals in Vegas. But I feel like I understand the fan base a little bit. I don't think the fan base is going to really value it that much. And like from a Nuggets perspective, watching these other teams, because like while it would be cool to be a part of it, Denver has yet to be a part of it. They have yet to advance to the group or out of the group phase a single time. And maybe that's a trend. Like maybe Denver's just not like cut out for the cup, man. I don't know. But yeah, it's just been it's a weird thing. Weird sort of wrinkle to begin the season. And fortunately for the Nuggets, now it is gone. Okay. Denver faces Phoenix tomorrow. Phoenix played tonight against the OKC Thunder. They lost, but they gave a really competitive performance against OKC. They were in Oklahoma as well. So not only does Denver have to travel to Phoenix, Phoenix also has to travel to Phoenix. So they do not get an advantage at all. So Denver going into this should be in a very similar situation to Phoenix at that point. Devin Booker played 39 minutes. Dylan Brooks played 39 minutes. Colin Gillespie, shout out to Colin, man. Like he is standing out as an awesome piece for Phoenix, and they absolutely he deserves it. He was good, middling good, like not really great for Denver. And there was a debate as to whether they should have kept Pickett or should have kept Gillespie. Right now, Colin Gillespie's starting for the Suns, and he's playing really well. It's just another Nugget that has gone on to have some success elsewhere. So good for him. We'll see a familiar face for sure. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do not think like Denver, it's a 50-50 environment, right? Like you lose, but Phoenix lost too. And Phoenix is a good team now, 12-8 on the season. Could they be better? Yeah. But they are good enough, I think, to really win this game and take it from Denver. Similar play style between Phoenix and San Antonio, where you're going to have a roller in Mark Williams, just like Luke Cornett, but more dynamic, but not as good of a passer. So maybe that helps. Maybe if it's all on Booker, if it's all on Colin Gillespie, if it's all on those guys to create options, then maybe that makes up the difference. But Denver, if they are going to win that game, they're going to have to give up way better defensive effort, just straight up. Phoenix will cook them. They will absolutely cook them alive if they do not disrupt at the point of attack. And if they don't tag accurately on the backside, on the weak side, like Dylan Brooks will shoot a bunch of threes. Royce O'Neal will shoot a bunch of threes. Colin Gillespie shot 6 of 11 from 3 tonight. If the Nuggets give the Suns the same looks that they got tonight against OKC, like OKC allowed them to go 15 of 44 for 34%. Could the Nuggets allow them to go 20 for 44? 18 for 44? Yeah, that's well within the purview. So can Denver be better on the defensive end? We'll find out. I don't know. I don't know. But this looks a lot more like last year's defense than it does this year's beginning of the season. And that is not an encouraging place to be. We'll see if they can survive. We'll see if they can bounce back. They are capable of it. There's no doubt in my mind that they're capable. I still think that they're going to win a title. I've said this a million times. But I do think that they have to go through some growing pains. And this is one of them. Teams have started to figure out how to navigate their defense. And now it's up to the Nuggets to figure out what they can do next. What's the next defensive wrinkle? What's the next defensive game plan that they can really implement that actually makes a difference? Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Locked On Nuggets, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Late night show. Appreciate you staying up. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Matt Moore will be with you tomorrow night. He will give a good reaction, a good recap to what happens against the Suns. We'll see if the Nuggets can bounce back. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. We'll talk to you guys very soon.